All right, I believe we are live. Welcome everybody to another edition of the Maverix Lifestyles Rogue Hangout. It's Alesha Drew here, and today I am joined with John Paul Argentino, who's out on the balcony today in lovely 80-degree weather, which is nice, and Sheena Yap Chan over there in Hawaii, which is also pretty nice, I would imagine, and Stephanie Park out there in cold Colorado. Yeah, so we're very excited coming to you today, everybody, for today's topic, which is, today I am joined with, got some echo going on here. I think that might be me. No, it's gone now. So today's topic is going to be success is your duty, obligation, and responsibility. And we're really excited to talk to you all about this today. And before we get going, I'd just like to thank everybody that's been coming out each week and sticking with us on these Hangouts week in and week out. We're getting some amazing feedback and some amazing comments on our Hangouts. Everybody's really appreciating all the value and golden nuggets that we've been sharing. So we're really, really excited about that, and we've got a lot more in store for you all today. So, you know, with that being said, if you've got any comments or questions, feel free to leave them below this video, as we love to hear from everybody. And so we'll get going. And I'm actually going to kick it off today with this actual topic. So when we talk about success being our duty, obligation, and responsibility, there's often a lot of negative things that can happen in our lives. And it's how we react to those. It's how we react to those circumstances and those conditions that makes the difference between our success and our failure. And it's actually under our control completely, which is the most awesome part. We get to choose how we react to certain situations and circumstances. We can either choose to be proactive or we can choose to be reactive. And when we're going on the failure curve, that's when we choose to be reactive instead of proactive. And this is where the difference between success and failure lies. Successful people know that they need to be proactive when something comes up. So instead of seeing it as a problem, we see it as a challenge, and we try and, well, we don't try, we actually do figure out how we're going to get around that circumstance and what we're going to learn from it and how we can move forward. You know, there's a typical trait of somebody who's on the failure curve, and it's called blame. And, you know, we've all been there. We've all blamed people and things for certain situations that happen in our lives. And often it's an instinctive reaction to things. And as we like to say, when you point your finger at somebody, you've got 3 fingers pointing back at you. So you really have to take a look at yourself and realize that it is your duty, obligation, and responsibility to be successful. And there's nobody else who's responsible for that. There's nobody else that you can blame for whatever that situation is. And I want you to take a look right now around you at your circumstances, exactly where you are right now as you're watching this video. And as you look around, I want you to realize that everything around you is what you've said yes to in your life. Now, this might be a little bit of a hard pill for some people to swallow. I know it was for me when I first heard this. Everything around you is what you have said yes to. Okay, this is the result of your very best thinking. Your very best thinking has got you where you are right now. And if you don't like what you see, guess what? That's okay, because you can choose to change it. That's what makes it so powerful, and that's what we're here to share with you today. That as a human being, no matter what situation we're in, we all have the power to change where we're at any particular moment, which is really, really, really powerful when we choose to make the decision and take action on it. You know, the people that are on the failure curve, they believe that they're victims in life. They believe that everything happens to them and everything's done at them. They call, you know, you usually call these people the done-tos. They think everything happens to them and they feel sorry for themselves and it's that person's fault. And it's really not. It's not, you know, it's not your family's fault. It's not your mom's fault, your dad's fault, your sister's fault, your brother's fault, your cat's fault, your cousin's fault, your teacher's fault, your boss's fault. Whatever it is, it's actually you. It's actually your fault, and you have the power to change that. So I really want to press that upon everybody that's watching right now. No matter what your circumstances is, if you don't like what you see, and if you're on this hangout, You're not an average, typical person. You're here because you want to make a decision to change your life. And at any point in time, you can click on the button below and do that immediately. So with that being said, it's really important for us to understand these concepts moving forward. And before I kick it over to one of our next guests here, I want to leave you guys with a little bit of an analogy that I heard, well, I actually read through the book The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson. It's actually one of my favorite books. And if you don't have that book or you haven't read it, I suggest that you get that. I'm actually going to pop it up on the screen here. The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson. I actually call it my Bible. I love this book and I reread it quite often. And he talks about there's 5 frogs on a lily pad, okay? And one frog decides to jump off the lily pad. So how many frogs would you have left? Now, anyone on the panel, you're free to answer this question. There's 5 frogs on the lily pad, okay? And one of them decides to jump off. How many frogs do you think you have left? Does anybody want to answer?
Yeah, there's still 5 frogs.
Yeah, see, John Paul's quite smart over here. He said there's still 5 frogs. Now, a lot of people would say that there's 4 frogs. Simple math. Take 1 frog away from 5 frogs because the 5th frog decided to jump off.
The cat ate
it. She might. So the answer actually is still 5 frogs. And why is that? It's because the frog decided to jump off the lily pad. The frog didn't actually jump off the lily pad. He thought about it and he made a decision to. Okay, and I want you guys to get this because this is really powerful, because in terms of being successful, there are so many of us that think about it and we make a decision to do it, and yet we don't ever follow through with it. There's no action that gets taken. Okay, and it's a very reoccurring theme that I see personally quite often. So many people have these amazing ideas and they desperately want to change their circumstances. They think about it and they think that they've decided upon it, but then they don't take the action and they don't click the button below. They just stay in their current circumstances and nothing changes. So I really want to press that upon you all today, that in order to make that change, when you've looked around and you've decided that, hey, I want to change where I'm at right now, you have to make the decision and then actually act on that decision by hitting the button below. So that's my little rant to get us kick-started here. So I think we'll move it across to anybody who wants to kind of jump in from here, actually.
I'll kick some of this off here. I think that when you were talking about how your best thinking got you to where you're at in life, sometimes it's actually your best thinking or lack of thinking that actually got you there too. It's also, as you were saying, we always make a choice. Throughout our lives, we're always constantly making choices. We're weighing choices against consequences or pleasure on the other side of it. The pain or the pleasure of it. You're either going towards something or away from something. You're either pushed towards something or pulled towards it. Depends on how you look at it. Myself, I'm always pulled towards some things and pushed away from others. It's after I've had enough pain in certain areas of my life, I've always been pulled to a more attractive area and pulled and pushed away from the other one. I've just been repelled away from it. And I believe that a lot of people are just not making choices. And no matter where we're at in life, I always have to remind some people sometimes that they ask for this. Wherever they're at in life, that's what they asked for, in some which way, shape, or form. It wasn't having the victim mentality or the blame game. Yes, sometimes freak things happen. You might have been involved in a car accident, or you might have had a work injury. Freak shit happens. It does. Like, freak stuff happens. And it is a way of life. If I were to go out today and get involved, God forbid, get involved in a car accident and I lost an arm or a leg or something crazy happened, I can only do the best that I can to protect myself against that. Yes, I did everything I could. I drove a nice car that had, all the airbags, all the side curtains. I wore my seatbelt. I'm not drunk. I'm not high. All those things that were in my control, I took ownership of. But I can't control the other person flying down the freeway head on on the other side that's drunk or whatever. I can't control that situation. But if that were to happen, freak things happen. But that's the anomaly. That's not the norm. The norm is people are not making decisions and they're not making the choice. But by making no choice, they're still making the choice at all. Actually, they're still choosing to stay in that current certain circumstance or that situation they don't like, and they're still getting frustrated, but they're not realizing that that's what they asked for. You know, there's been times in my career, you know, whenever I was, you know, as I was in retail sales coming up, and I realized that I asked for this. No matter where I was at, I'd realize, you know what? I always pushed myself further, and I got to that point, but I always asked for that no matter what position I was in. I always asked for it. Whether I liked it or not, that's still what I asked for. And a lot of people, like I think, Alesha, you and I earlier, we were pretty much talking about why people don't take action on their dreams sometimes. And especially with this whole marketing and advertising and actually building something for themselves online. And why don't people actually capitalize on it? Why don't they take action? Why are they still sitting on the fence? And we heard something really good, and it was actually something that really struck a chord with me. I had to really play it a couple times to really grasp it, because I was like, wow, that's actually spot on. And this guy was talking, and he said, you know, the reason why people don't take action sometimes on that dream is because they are afraid that if they throw some money into advertising or marketing and they build something up, if they even try it, and they fail the first time, they think that the dream doesn't exist anymore. And that's why they'll just allow that to be defeated. And what they don't realize is that you have to do this multiple times. You know, there's good news and bad news. The good news is that it's easy. The bad news is that it takes a couple passes to get it. That's the long and short of it. The good news is that it really is easy once you actually do the work. The bad news is that sometimes it takes a couple passes at it to realize what works for you, for your personality type, what works for your market, things like that as well. You know, and it takes a little bit of figuring some of this stuff out, and that's the only drawback for it. It doesn't mean that the dream doesn't exist, that it went away. It just meant that there was just a slight obstacle in the way. It didn't change anything at all about the actual dream. But some people just take that and think that that means that it was a failure on that dream, that dream doesn't exist anymore. And the truth is that it's still right there, and it always will be there. You just have to not make the decision, but you have to choose to take the action to get it. You know, it's actually a grand design that you can take. You know, how our topic of the Hangout was success is your duty, your obligation, and your responsibility. And it truly is. It is your duty. You know, it's your obligation for yourself and for your family, your friends, the people that you love to spend time with, in order to do something so that you actually can have a vehicle that allows you to spend the time where you want it. You know, all it is a vehicle and a resource and an opportunity that's presented in front of people to get the information that they need in order to run and take it and run with it. That's all that it is. And losing track of that dream and thinking that it went somewhere else is really just cheating yourself. It's cheating the people around you. And it's just basically cowering up or curling up into a ball and turning into a coward on something. That's all it really is. And you don't have to do that. You know, I think that, at least for me, what I realized was that innately people, if they contact you, like Alesha, we were talking earlier too, you said, you know, if someone contacts us at that point, if someone reaches out and picks up the phone and they actually call us, the reason they're calling us is because they're actually ready to buy. They're actually truly ready to buy. There's no more questions in their head about anything. They just want some reassurance on who they can trust. That's all that it is. They've already, that decision's already been made. And so when someone calls you up, there's no more fence, there's no more anything. It's actually, you know, you're ready to join, you're ready to capitalize on what you want, not what I want. It's actually what they want. And it's still a choice that they have to make. And it's still a choice that you guys all can make any day of the week. You know, it's a choice that you personally have to make with yourself to say, you know what, I do want this. I do want what's good on the other side. I want some of that. You know, does it mean it's going to be easy? Yes and no. You know, I don't know anybody, you know, like there's tons of pros in this space. I mean, there's tons of quote-unquote gurus in this space. Every single one of them, there's not one of them out there that hit a full 10 out of 10 hit it the nail right on the head every single time and just, you know, have the moonshot right off the bat. There's not one of them. And if there is someone out there, you know, they need to write a book and I'll buy it because I want to know who they are, you know. So, you know, always just remember that where you're at, it's what you asked for. It truly is what you asked for. And only you can ask for more and change it.
Yeah, it's so true. It's all in the power of choice. You know, we all have that power at any one moment, and that is the easy good news, that it is easy to actually make a decision. So I also wanted to alert you guys to another statistic here that I was reading about, again in the Slight Edge book by Jeff Olson. Before I go into it, he talks about how there's two different types of learning, which ties into what we're talking about today. And there's learning by studying, and then there's learning by actually doing. And as Emerson says, you do the thing, you shall have the power. So if you do the thing, you shall have the power. And the crazy statistic that he shared that came from the United Nations was that 58% of high school graduates that don't go to college will never pick up a book again for the rest of their lives. 58%, over half of the high school graduates that don't go to college will never pick up a book again for the rest of their lives. Now, to me, that's an astounding statistic. It really is. And it's a choice that these people are making. And what's even more astounding is, out of these 7 billion people that are on this planet right now, 1 billion of those people are illiterate. They cannot read. And I would assume that that's because they don't have the opportunity to. So that's 1 in 7 people walking down the street is illiterate. Out of 7 billion people, 1 billion people don't have the opportunity to read. Now, my point is here, what is the difference between those 58% of high school graduates that choose to not pick up a book and read and better themselves and learn how to be successful, and the difference between the 1 billion people that couldn't read a book even if they picked it up because they're illiterate? What's the difference? There is no difference. There's absolutely no difference between the 58% of people who choose not to pick up a book and the 1 billion people that even if they picked up the book, they couldn't read it. Now, to me, that really hit home. That was a huge statistic, and when he explained the comparison there, I thought, wow, this is so true. There is no difference. And, you know, the only time that those 58% of people can make a difference is when they choose to pick up a book, when they choose to better themselves, when they choose to make the decision and to know that success really is their own duty, their obligation, and their responsibility. So I really wanted to share that with you all today because I thought that was quite astounding. And to be honest with you, when I was little, I used to read all the time. And then I went through a phase, you know, growing up through when I finished school, the only books that I would really read were the books that I was studying at college. I wasn't reading anything really else that I enjoyed or anything else that was going to better myself as a person. I went through a few years after college when I was performing all over the world that I didn't read any books. And it just fell off my map. It wasn't something that I did or anything that I even thought about. And until I got into this community that we're a part of today, did I realize the power of reading every single day. And, you know, you don't even have to read that much every single day. If you read 10 pages a day, you can get a 300-page book read in a month. That's 300 pages. That's a fair book. So it doesn't really take that much to find a book that really interests you and it's actually going to better your life. I mean, there's nothing wrong with reading, you know, entertainment books or fantasy books, whatever you want to read, that's great. But if you actually want to better yourself and better your life, because there's no greater investment than investing in yourself and who you are. And, you know, you get around all these people on the Hangout today in our community and you will find a zillion books that we can recommend for you to read to better yourself. And I started doing that. And as soon as I started doing that again when I entered this community, I wondered how I ever stopped. I was like, wow, you know, I can't believe I ever stopped reading, you know, and it's just amazing what can actually happen and how you can evolve as a person. Because that's what matters before anything else. We can give you all the strategies, you know, all the tips, all the tricks, but if you're not right on the inside, none of that stuff's really ever going to matter. And I'll give you another analogy on that, actually. I've got my little notes here. Abraham Lincoln, he said, give me 6 hours to chop down a tree, and I will spend the first 4 hours sharpening the axe. Okay, that's what he said. He would spend twice as much time working on the tool of the job than he would the actual task. Now, the tool is you. You are the axe. And you have to be prepared to spend more time on that first and then take the action. Because if that part's not right, okay, the unsuccessful person, the person who's on the failure curve, they're going to pick up that axe, whether it's dull, whether it's blunt, or whatever you say, whatever it is, and they're just going to hack into that tree over and over. And they're probably just going to quit. They're going to put that axe down, and then they're going to complain and say that it was the axe's fault because it didn't work. Now, that's what an unsuccessful person does, but a successful person realizes that they need to sharpen that axe for a good while before they actually do the thing so they can have the power. So I think that stuff's really, really interesting, and it really helps people to understand how it is that you get yourself on the success curve. So with that being said, let's bring out Stephanie. You want to share some thoughts with us today? The big smiley face there. Oh, we can't hear you. Yeah, no, we can hear you. Yeah.
Wow, Alesha and John Paul, who can top that? You guys are sharing such value. Thank you so much. Well, today, before I begin a story, I wanted to give all of you guys a riddle, if you don't mind. Okay? And during my story, even if you guess it, please wait until the end. I'll tell you the answer at the end. Okay? What is that one thing that you use that can instantly make your whole world dark and put you in a moment of despair? And at the same time, it can instantly turn everything bright and lead you to a path of success. What is that one thing? Okay? And I'm going to ask you to, don't think too hard. This is something that I share with my, that I used to share with 4th and 5th graders before I began my class every year. And here's I thought this story was a nice story of like how to accelerate your success, how to accept the challenges for what it is. Okay? Now this takes back, I would say, more than a decade ago. This is when I was graduating from my bachelor's degree, and on my last year I was given an internship. Okay? And my school, I went to school in Orange County. And even when during the time when I was going to school, I tutored kids. And in Orange County, you see a lot of like kids that have like lawyer parents, judges and doctors. So they're pretty much well off. So I was fortunate enough to be able to tutor those children and be able to be in that environment where I was surrounded by books, surrounded by professors, and surrounded by resources until my last year. And my last year, my first day of internship was at Compton Watts. And if you guys don't know what that area is, it's the area where when you watch like Hollywood's gangster movies, and you see all these drive-by shootings, trash cans on fire, buildings blowing. Well, that takes place around the same area. It was called the jungle at the time. Okay. And of course, me being pampered, me being in that textbook bubble and everything pampered, I didn't know any better. So I just took my assignment. So growing up, I had this vision of how the certain elementary school teacher would look. So I dressed up in my silk suit, my nice heels. I grew my hair, and I went. Well, my first assignment was in kindergarten class. And my first day I had a yard duty. And while I was there was a drive-by shooting. And until this day, I never ever heard of a sound of a gun. Okay? And then I'm out there taking care of the kids, and then the gun goes off. Boom! I didn't know what that was. But instantly, these 5-year-old kids were just flat on the floor. And here's me not knowing what it is, right? And there's this little boy with big eyes looking at me and saying, Miss King. And that was my name before I became a Mrs. Miss King, get down! So I was like, okay, and I got down. And then after the incident, I looked around, and all my textbook knowledge, everything I thought that what a teacher's job would look like, my own version of, I would say, prejudice, okay? If it's a proper explanation of it, it went out the window. It went out the door. And I realized that day and that moment on that where I'm coming from and where these kids are, it didn't mesh together. I mean, they're over here and I'm over here. And we had to meet, I had to build a bridge with them somehow. So I did whatever I could. I did whatever, whatever knowledge I had. And then I became, to some of the kids, I became the counselor. To some of the parents, to some of the kids, I became a parent. To some of the kids, I just had to be the shoulder to cry on, right? So I came home that day, and I went into my room, and I had a good hard thought. And it wasn't something about, did I waste my time getting here? What can I do to get out of this? It was something like, how can I? How can I make this work? How can I build this bridge? How can I help these children realize that I see them and they're important to me, they matter to me, and whatever they dreamed of doing with their life, I can help them get there, okay? So the next day, what I did was I basically took off my makeup, I took off the poofy hair that I had, I took off everything, all the things that I armored up, okay, all the things that I imagined of being proper, I took all those off, wore my cotton shirt, khaki pants, pair of Converse shoes, and I went in. And when I went into the office ladies are like, oh, you came back. And I was like, yeah, why not? Because I guess what happened was a lot of the teachers who came in for internship, after 1 or 2 days, it scared them off, so they left. So these children grew up knowing that, somehow feeling that they're not worthy. And that really hit my heart, hit me really hard, and that helped me realize, one way or the other, during my lifestyle and during the circumstances I had built this wall. I had built this armor of protection. So, I went in and, we sang songs, and then every day from then on, I went home with glue stuck to my pants. I had glitter in my hair, and I have all kinds of stuff. And all of my relatives are wondering, are you a teacher? You don't look like a teacher. But to me, it meant something. And for the 6 months of that internship, every time I think back, I made a difference in those 20 children. I made them feel like they're worthy. I made them feel like they were important. Okay? And that basically that was a moment when I opened my eyes to my heart. Okay? And to answer the riddle, if you guys haven't guessed it yet, the answer is your eyelids. Okay? When you close your eyes, You have that pitch darkness. You don't see anything. And when you don't see anything, you feel alone. You feel isolated. You feel like you're helpless. You feel like you're hopeless. And you start going into that pit of despair. But when you open your eyes, you realize where you're standing. You realize where you are. You realize there are people around you, and they could be easily reached. If not, if you can't reach them, you can call out to them, right? So for me, what I wanted to share was that whether it's in an online market, whether it's networking, whether it's building a tribe, it's a matter of opening your eyes. It's a matter of opening your eyes physically, and if you opening your eyes to your heart. Right? And that's what I wanted to share today.
Yeah, thank you, Stephanie. That was a very empowering story you just shared. It's amazing how something so negative and impactful as a shooting like that literally empowered you to make, you know, decisions in your life to move forward and help those children. You saw things in a different light. And I think that's really empowering. You know, as we say, negative things do happen in life, and it's how we choose to react to certain circumstances that happen that you know, paves our journey towards success. And what you shared with us today, Stephanie, was a prime example of you know, you could have had the choice just to literally run out and leave that school and never come back after that, you know, and leave those children there. But you didn't decide to do that. You thought about it and you made some powerful decisions and you showed up, and I'm sure that you changed the lives of many of these children by doing that, and totally, you know, being proactive about the situation instead of reactive. So, yeah, I'm really, really glad that you shared that story with us today. Very, very powerful. So, awesome. Let's move on here to Mishina. See what she's got to share with us today.
Hey everyone, long time no see. I'm out of the loop, but I am back. Sorry, I just saw a message. Got a little distracted. But,
yeah,
you know,
we can get distracted within this online community. It's very easy to get distracted.
So today's topic, we're talking about how success is your responsibility, and I truly believe that because I've seen so many instances where people have started with nothing, and I mean nothing, probably worse than nothing, and still be able to come out on top, right? And I do believe that, you know, you can do anything you want if you truly believe in it. And maybe it's how we see things is the reason why most people fail, right? I've learned a couple of things now as I've been going on this journey, you know. One of the many reasons why people quit is because they hate rejection, right? I'm pretty sure you all have gone through that. Me as well. You know, if a guy doesn't like you and breaks up with you, you cry eating, you know, chocolate ice cream all day and watching romantic comedy films. Or maybe, you know, it was your first time doing network marketing and you got more no's than yeses that you've ever heard in your entire life, and you feel like, wow, what is wrong with me, right? And you know, you can't see it as rejection. You know, instead of seeing it as rejection, just think of it as people not connecting with you. That's what it really is, right? They just don't connect with what you have or what you have to offer. They don't connect with your vision. And you know what? Sometimes that can be a good thing, right? I mean, maybe they're not the people you want them in your business or in your life or to have as your special someone, because, you know, you never know what's going to happen towards the future. So, you know, instead of looking at things as rejection, then, you know, just look at them as not connecting, and maybe you can start asking yourself, well, how can I connect with these people so that they can say yes? What is it that I need to do to be able to spread my message that will connect with the people that I want to connect, right? So that's one thing that you should realize, that rejection is not rejection, it's just not connecting. And doesn't that sound better than saying I got rejected? I mean, think about it. You know, just think about it. You know, if a guy turns me down, you know, instead of me saying, "Oh my God, I got rejected by this cute guy," and I start crying, I'll just be like, "Well, maybe there's no real connection, and maybe it could be a good thing. On to the next one," right? It sounds a lot better, and you feel a lot more calm, and that stress and frustration is gone, right? So start thinking that way. Another reason why so many people quit is because failure, right? People think they do something once, they don't get the results, and they think they're a failure. And I was like that too. We all have gone through that, right? I mean, I used to think, oh my God, my ad didn't work. I must be an idiot. I failed. I failed at this thing. And people don't realize sometimes it might take 1, 2, 3, 10,000 times to make something work. I mean, look at Thomas Edison, 10,000 ways to figure out how a light bulb didn't work. And another way of looking at things, instead of looking at it as a failure, right? Think of it as, your desired outcome didn't appear, or just think of it, it's just you didn't get the desired outcome of that certain thing, right? And you just find another way to get that desired outcome, like what Thomas Edison did. He didn't see the 10,000 ways of not working a light bulb as failure. He saw it was as 10,000 ways that his desired outcome didn't pan out, right? He just kept on doing it until he found something. And when you have these ways of looking at failure and rejection, I think you start to become more calm. You're not so hard on yourself, right? Because let's face it, we are our own worst enemy. I'm a big I'm big at that, and I have to sometimes just sit down and say, you know what? Stop, right? Because it has to start with us. If we can't control ourselves to have these self-limiting, to stop these self-limiting beliefs in our head, who else will, right? It has to start with us. Yes, the resources are there, but it's always up to you to get it done. And I see so many people out there who have an excuse for every single thing, and it's just like, oh my God, get over yourself, right? We all have obstacles. We all gone through shit, right? I mean, if a 65-year-old woman can try and figure out how to make her first Google Hangout, you can do some things too. I was just on a hangout with this awesome grandma, right? She said, this is my first time I'm doing a live Google Hangout. She didn't let her age get in the way of her success. She just said, I'm just going to get it done. Because her vision was to, help all the other grandmas out there rock this, internet marketing thing, or learn how to make money online, or make money from the comfort of their own home. Let's face it, it doesn't matter what age you are, old people still have problems. Maybe they don't have enough money for their retirement. They got to find a different way to make ends meet, right? And this could be the solution. And, another thing, I actually did this blog post about how to make, awesome graphics, right? Actually, I didn't even do the training. It was one of our awesome Superwoman crew who did it, right? They called themselves the Graphic Posse. So, I had a mother who was looking at the training, and then she left a comment on my Facebook post about the blog today, and she's like, my 6-year-old son just did this. And when I looked at it, I'm like, I cannot believe a 6-year-old did that. But anything's possible, right? There's no excuse. If a 6-year-old person can do an awesome graphic like that from the training that we provide, why can't you, right? He never cried or bitched about, well, I can't do it. He's like, he's just going to follow the instructions and do it. Sometimes it's just all about making that decision once and just doing it no matter what happens, no matter if you have a bad day, no matter if things don't work, you just keep going. I mean, we all have had bad days. We just don't complain about it, right? I have days where I've had YouTube channels shut down, blogs aren't working, I updated something and it screwed everything up, but do I cry about it? No. Yeah, sometimes I'll dwell about it for about 10 minutes and I just keep moving. Because I'm human too, right? I'm not perfect, right? I have bad days. I just don't talk about it, right? And when I do, I always find a solution for it. So, when you're in this journey, trying to be successful, doing your own success, I think the biggest thing about this is, being optimistic. And I was just, our Superwoman hangout or club, every Friday we have a book club, right? And we read, a book, a self-help book that can help the women out, because one of the core things that we must do as successful entrepreneurs or successful human beings is to read every day. And when I mean read, I don't mean read like trashy, gossipy, news about the Kardashians or Kanye West. I'm talking about real good stuff to feed your brain, right? And so we're talking about, Eat That Frog, which is pretty much telling you, get rid of the crap that you don't want to do first so that your workload gets better and easier, right? Because I'm sure there's some things on our list we just hate to do, but we know we have to do it to make things work. And we all do, right? And this just helps you how to get things done, right? And one of the chapters was talking about being optimistic and why it really helps you become the person that you're meant to be. When you always are happy about something, even when there's days that you don't feel happy, you just still got to be optimistic. And there's three ways of being like that. First, it has to be with your thoughts. Think happy thoughts, think good positive thoughts, which is why I like to surround myself with this awesome group of panelists, right? The next thing is look for the good in everything. And I mean everything. No matter how bad your situation is, you can always look for the good in it, right? And when you look for the good in it, it really is a big change in your life. When you see what's good versus bad, it can help you in so many ways that you never thought was possible. And you can help spread that message to people who have the same situation as you do, and they don't know how to deal with it, right? And whatever obstacle you run into, any bad obstacle, just take it for what it is and just find something good about it, right? Just we always tend to look at the bad things at everything, and this is why we end up focusing on, or this is why we end up attracting bad things, because it starts with our thoughts. It starts with how we treat obstacles, how we handle things. When you learn how to handle them in a more positive, optimistic way, so many things can happen, so many good things can change your life, and you become a different person. So, to whoever's watching this, just know that it's always your responsibility to make something happen, right? I've known people who've never went to school, who probably got kicked out of juvie and kicked out of high school, every single time, who've only read 2 books in their life, who probably can't even, have all these learning disabilities and can still make it from the top. I mean, look at Tom Cruise. I know he has some type of disability, maybe he has ADD or something, but it never stopped him from becoming one of the most successful actors in the world, right? He just had a desire to be, a great actor. Sometimes you just need that desire, that belief in yourself that you can do it, and find a group of people who can help you lift you up in that process. Because sometimes, it's hard to believe in ourselves, right? I mean, I still struggle with it every day, but I surround myself with the right people who tell me that, I can do this. They believe in me. They see something that I sometimes don't see in myself. And you can probably relate to that, because sometimes you look in the mirror and you're like, I don't get it. I don't see what other people see in me, and that's okay. You might not see it right away. It might take some time for you to see it, but as long as you have the right people in your life who can, lift you up, who can tell you, you are amazing. When you have those type of people, trust me, it makes things a lot easier, makes things a lot better, and you feel so much better at the end of the day. So it's my little tips for the day.
Yeah, awesome stuff, Sheena. Like, I'm loving the value that's coming from everybody today. It's really amazing, and I love it because as we listen to each other and we bring value to everybody that's watching, we're also bringing value to ourselves, which is really, really great. Each week we can leave with a new perspective on things and things that we can take away in order to achieve our success, which I really, really love. And just on that, as the good old saying says from Dr. Wayne Dyer, when we change the way we look at things, the things we look at change. And it's so true. It's actually one of my favorite quotes of all time. When I first heard that, I thought, wow, that is so true and so simple. When we change the way we look at things, the things we look at change. And we're so programmed to think a certain way, due to our upbringing and our surroundings. And when we become aware that we can actually shift the way that we think, in that moment we become so powerful and we can do anything that we want to do in our lives. And, as Sheena mentioned about Tom Cruise, there are so many successful people that came from rock bottom, that came from nothing, or had some sort of disability, some sort of something that would seem negative. And it was that thing that actually gave them the power to change their circumstances and become who they wanted to be. They didn't allow any obstacles to come in their way. They had no excuses. We have people within our community that are blind, have, crippling, spinal diseases. We have all sorts of people within our community, and they're making it happen. They're successful. They don't have any excuses for themselves because they don't let them. And that's what this is all about today. You are, as we said, you are your own worst enemy. You can be. Or you can be your own best friend. It depends on how you look at it. And as Sheena mentioned, if we choose to see the good in everything, things will change for you. So if you are somebody out there that's in what you believe is a really terrible situation, you need to change the way that you look at that situation and be grateful for what you do have. I think this is a really important point that we do bring up quite often here is, you know, if you have a roof over your head and you're able to eat every single day and put clothes on your back, you should be grateful for that. You know, there's so many people in this world that don't have that. They don't have it, and they still get by. And those people that don't have it, they're usually the happiest people in the world because they are grateful for what they do have. And here we are with all of our gadgets and gizmos and things around us, and we sit here and complain. You know, granted, we all do it, and every once in a while we have to go, hey, you know, take a look around, just stop for a minute and look at what you do have. You know, because what we focus on is what we get. If you're sitting there saying, I'm broke, I don't have this, I don't have that, your subconscious mind only hears the things that you don't want. So you're going to keep getting the things that you don't want. So when you understand that, you can shift your focus and realize, yes, you know, success is my duty. Success is my obligation. It is my responsibility. And I'm going to change my circumstances right now. I'm going to change my circumstances right now and hit the button below and get inside and actually change my life, because you as a human being are actually priceless. There's no price tag on that. You are priceless, and you deserve to be able to provide the best lifestyle for you and your family. It's everybody's birthright to have that opportunity. And you have that opportunity right now. And some people don't get opportunities like this. You know, some people live in countries where they don't even have access to the internet. They're not able to connect with people all over the world. But we have the opportunity to do that. So who are we not to take advantage of that so that we can help transform other people? So that's my little rant on that for now. Not sure if John Paul wants to jump in here for a little bit. Oh, you're still muted.
There we go. All right, you know, I was just letting you ladies just have your moment there for a minute, since it is International Women's Day. Yes, I know.
Yeah. International Women's Day, everybody. Happy International Women's Day. Woo!
So we're going to go have a parade later on just for Alesha, just her own parade. We're going to go 10 miles an hour down the freeway and just let her wave.
Yeah. And I'll take a cat with us too, because she's female. So.
Yeah. So, you know, for many years, and this is going back a long time, I don't even know if Alesha, if you ever even knew about about me. You know, when you first met me, I had a disease, and you never knew it. And I never told you. And I felt bad about it. And it was actually called the disease of me. And what I was doing, and it was not a real disease. I mean, this was just something where I call it a disease because I was stuck in, and this is what I was doing. I was listening to other people. I would listen to people. I would offer advice. I would jump at the chance to help people. You know, I was really just Mr. Nice Guy. And no matter how hard I tried to please other people, my life was still incomplete. No matter how much I did, I thought that I was doing for other people, I was still incomplete and I was still stuck. I had the disease of me. And like many people out there, you might have the disease of me as well. And so I was stuck, and I didn't know what to do. And I had to look at, how do I take back control of this? And it was actually really simple. And it took me a couple years in it, and I didn't really talk to Alesha about my disease much. But it was, I had to redefine my priorities of what I had. And I had to redefine everything about my priorities to basically, and this is going to sound, I might stir some normal thoughts on this, but I had to learn to be selfish in the moment in order to be selfless later on in my life. And for many people, that's what you have to do as well. You know, because I was Mr. Nice Guy. You could be Mrs. Nice Gal, whoever you are out there, you know, whatever it is. Sometimes that's not the best thing for people that find attractive to want to follow. No one wants a doormat, you know. No, someone wants someone with a spine and a backbone. They want a good person behind it. And no matter how, like I said, no matter how hard I was, the disease of me still kept getting in the way. So I just had to reshift my focus and my priorities on it. And that was in career, that was in personal, that was, spiritual, everything. It was the whole package. It was, was what was really dragging me down. Was I physically, mentally out of tune with myself because I physically wasn't in shape correct or the right way? Was it taking a different career path change? And there was different things that I had to do and look at stuff that says, this is what I want. And I had to take a hard look in the mirror at things and say, I'm not going to be a victim of having a disease of me. And I think that many people out there, you could be out there right now yourself and say, this dude's right. And, I'm just saying, I'm out there to, this is the one time where I will offer a little bit of advice, because I have made many major mistakes in my life. And it's cost me friends, it's caused me family members, it's caused me, a lot of grief that I pulled on myself, because, again, my best thinking got me to those situations, and I had to look at that. Sheena, you were talking earlier about how Thomas Edison had 10,000 different ways to fail at making the light bulb. And he didn't look at it as failures, though. He looked at it kind of like a scientific way of saying, I'm getting closer and closer each day towards something that's going to help millions of people. And, so what I got from that was, and this is something, too, actually, I was told this the other day from a mentor of mine. And he said, don't let anybody above you or below you impact your success. And that really made me think, because I'm a thinking man. And I just started thinking about it, and I chewed on it for a while, because I was like, man, I don't get it. Why is it no one's really above me and no one's really below me? And that was the key. That was the golden nugget right there, was that there was hidden insight into that, and it was that no one is above me or beneath me. We're equal in the same space. We have the same 24 hours in a day. We have the same amount of minutes. It's up to me to how I allocate those those minutes and use my time as a resource for me. And here's another example of that. I know that Alesha, you and I were talking recently. Well, I've been kind of talking about this and about my time and how I respect my time. And every day, I had a turning point the other day, because I still have a job. I still like what I do. I really do. I like what I bring to the table. I like the growth that I'm getting out of it. I still love what I do every day. I still love it. And I also work with the business part-time on the side with Alesha. Alesha's full-time, I'm part-time in it. But I still love what I do for my career. And I got to the point where I have to make a commute every day down into the city, down into San Francisco. And lately I've just been like, man, this drive sucks. This is just draining. Because I'm the type of person where I'm in something, I'm in it. I'm 100% into it. I delve into it, to the best of my abilities. And if I can't be there 100%, I let someone know that I can't be there 100%, so that I don't feel like a fake or a fraud doing it. I set up places set up resources in order to compensate for that. And that's why we removed Alesha from her job, so that she could do this full time. And I took on more of the responsibility until we can transition out of it. But I'm still growing as I'm going along, and other people out there should be going through that same process as well, as far as getting their time back. So I'm driving to work, and I'm driving down, and I'm going across the Oakland Bay Bridge, and traffic is backed up. It's 11 o'clock on a Friday morning. It's not rush hour. I was like, okay, great. It's backed up for 6 miles down the freaking road, backed up from just across the toll bridge to get into the city. I was like, dear God, I've had enough. I was like, this is it. I've had enough of this. I felt like, at first I kind of turned on the victim mindset. I was like, why did I even do this? What the hell is wrong with me? I was like, what? And then I started looking around and I'm going, man, there's 7 miles worth of idiots as well doing the same shit. I was like, so I'm not the only idiot here doing this. I was like, there's 7 miles worth of people doing this. And I was going, man, I wonder who my target audience is. I'm sitting here going, man, I wonder who my target market is for this business that I run. I'm like, well, I got 7 miles of people in front of me that's my target market. People that are exactly doing the same thing that I'm going through. And so I was like, you know what, I'm making a decision right here and right now. I'm going to start researching some motorcycles to get, because I was like, I can split lanes right through all this traffic. I can still get there in an hour no matter what. And what was worse on Friday night when you leave the city, if you do a long day in the city, like a long work day, and then you leave the city in San Francisco, it's 2 hours to get home as well too, because you got to set through all the traffic to get over the bridge on the way home, and you're just sitting there like you want to pull your hair out, like. And I was like, I went to work one day and I came home and I found a gray hair in my goatee. I was growing a goatee at the time, and I found this like white hair in my goatee, and I was like, that wasn't there before. I was like, how does that over the course of like a night all of a sudden pop out a whole gray hair that's like an inch long? I was like, what? Like, that doesn't happen to people. So I was like, you know what? This is causing me to get gray hairs. I'm stressing over stuff the wrong way. I respect my time, so what am I going to do? I'm going to take control over it. And for me, spending the money on another vehicle so that I can get my time back is money well spent. So that's what I'm going to do. And it was a quick decision based on something that I can take control over. And it's the same thing that what you guys can do out there right now. You can click the button below. You can get started with people that actually are trustworthy, that have your back, that are doing what they say that they do, and they're also teaching what they do as well. You know, we as a community have so many tools and resources available to us that it really is, you know, from the beginner just getting started all the way to the advanced. You know, you want to make $30,000 a month. You want to do that? We have the tools and the resources to teach you all that stuff inside our products. Now, income disclosure, an income disclaimer. You know, just because we work our butts off like a dog from hell, I don't know what you're going to work like. I don't know what you're going to do. You know, I have no idea. So with that being said, you can always see our income disclosure at income.maverixlifestyles.com. You can feel free to visit that as well. There's a link to it at the bottom of the page down below. But more importantly, is stop being average and start taking, take control of everything. Click the button below and just get involved with people that are the same like-minded people as you are. The same people that have been where you've been, that are also going to a different place in life. You know, look around, on your daily commute. If you're in the same thing that I was in, just look around, going, you know what? That's not what I want. I don't want that for my kids to have to go through that same shit every day. Hopefully you don't want that for your family as well. I personally believe that no one deserved to sit in rush hour traffic like that, because, again, that's a decision that they're making. It's a decision I made, and I was like, man, I screwed this all kinds of ways up. I was like, this is not for me. I was just sitting around going, you know what? I'm like anytime I get into a car and I'm on the freeway and it just gets bumper to bumper, I feel like a caged animal. Like, I really do. I'm like, that's when the blood pressure rises and you're going, oh my God. Like, there's so much more stuff I could be doing. Now, granted, I always have audios going on, and I have things like that going on as well too. But we want to live life. We want to enjoy our time. That's 2 hours. That's almost 4 hours a day that I'm away from, my loved ones. I'm away from Alesha. I'm away from people that I love. And you don't need that. Like, that's 4 hours. I mean, that's half a work day on peak days away from my family. And I was just sitting there going, you know what? Is it worth it? Look at what you're doing. If I'm a math guy, let me just do some quick math on this. Like, I'll just do it right now. Let's just see here. Let's say the average person that has a 2-hour commute, 4 hours a day, working 5 days a week, that's 20 that's 20 hours commuting. Multiply that times 52 weeks a year, that's 1,040 hours. Whoops, 1,040 divided by 24, that's 43 days. That's 43 days out of a year that I'm basically commuting. And when you do the math on that, how many vacations is that for you? How much time just is that really? What could you do with over 1,000 hours? So granted, most average people work over 2,000 hours a year anyway. So there's another 1,000 hours in that in commuting. That's 3,000 hours in that. Just there's my life, driving away. So really, what is it? Are you just driving your life away, or are you actually going to be able to capitalize on your time? Make the right decisions to structure everything so that you can get what you need. You can be selfish right now and be selfless later on because you took the action to do the things that nobody else around you wanted to do. I had to separate a lot of people out of my life that I thought were influential for me and good for me. Turned out they were actually bad for me. They were like crabs in a bucket dragging me down, crapping on my dream. I won't let anybody shit on my dream anymore. You want to crap on my dream and you don't want to be beneficial to it anymore? I don't got time for you. I really don't. That doesn't mean that you're a bad person. Doesn't mean I'm a bad person. I'm just like, hey, cool, you want to do that? You go over there. I'm going over here. I'll do my own thing. I'll be the rogue of the pack doing my own thing. I really will be. And I'll stand with other rogues that want to do it as well. So if you're a rogue of the pack as well, like we are, click the button below, get in. I mean, just make a choice on yourself and your family. You got to do it for somebody. If not, you're going to be spending 1,000 hours a year driving in your car, sitting in rush hour traffic, or just pissing your life away doing nothing. And that's the truth of it. What else could you be doing? Because if there's something else that you could be doing to benefit yourself and your family, whatever it is, if you know what it is, let me know, because I'll look at that too. I'll take a look at it. Hit me up. Let me know if there's something more impactful you could do with your life than actually learn some skills that no one could ever take away from you. These are skills that you can pass on to your family members. These are skills you can pass on to your children as they grow up. These are life skills that you learn with this business. They truly are, And these are things where you can give openly all the things that you learn. You can actually give it. You won't make a lot of money openly giving it, but we have the tools and stuff that can guide you to how to capitalize on what you know. So take the chance on yourself. Click the button below because you deserve it. It is your duty. It is your success. Or it is your obligation. It is your right as well to be successful. That's all I got, guys. Gals.
Wow. Awesome stuff there. I'm not sure how to actually follow that. That was, amazing.
You got to do the Chris Rock mic drop. You just got to drop the mic and just just shut the power off, and that's it. Just do it that way. Just drop the mic.
Awesome. Well, is there any other final thoughts before we close out? Stephanie, do you have any final thoughts here for everybody?
Wow. Well, here's the thing, guys. Steve Jobs, the CEO of the Apple computer, once said that you cannot connect the dots moving forward. You can only connect the dots looking back, right? And I'm going to add to that, even when you fall flat on your face, thinking that you're a failure, you're still moving forward. Okay? And here's the thing, when you look around you and when you make a decision on what you want in your life and how you want to get there and who's going to, link up with you, hook up with you, and be in your tribe, once you made your decision in doing that, things take on its shape and things build on itself, and you're going to start creating momentum. And that's one thing that helped me realize was that our founder of this company, even though he was a son of a judge, even though he had an extremely intelligent mind, he somehow did one mistake to another, ended up being homeless, living out of a van. But he didn't stop there. I'm sure it was one of those moments where he felt like he felt flat on his face. Okay? And it was either that moment where he could have given up, or it was that moment where he decided, I'm going to make this happen. I'm going to make shit happen. And he did. And he's willing to share. He's openly willing to share that information with us. So if you're in that moment, riding on the fence, thinking, should I, would I? Well, here's my question for you. What do you want? You decide. And how do you want to get there? You decide. And start chipping away and cutting out the unnecessary things that are weighing you down. Or temporarily put it aside until you achieve it. You're there to get it. But everything that's going to happen, that's going to unfold in front of you, starts with you making a decision. I don't want this shit anymore. I want to move on, and I want to do it this way, my way or no way. So join us. Click the button below.
Yep. And Stephanie, just on that, how you were talking about sitting on the fence, our founder Dave Wood always says this as well. He says if you sit on the fence, it's going to hurt your ass. So
That is true.
it's not a good idea. It's really going to hurt. So we don't recommend that. So it is time to take action. So Sheena, got any final thoughts to share with us?
Well, first of all, never sit on the fence because I don't want my ass to hurt.
Yeah.
Honestly, the decision is always up to you, right? I mean, we can tell you, anything and everything you want to know, but if you don't, click that button that says, I want to get started today, nothing's going to happen, and that's a guarantee. If you don't do anything, nothing's going to happen. You're just going to be sitting here watching us every single Sunday thinking, is this going to work for me? Is it not going to work for me? Right? You're just going to be second-guessing till the point that December 31st, 2015, and you're still at the same spot. Do you want to be in that same spot? Just think about it. Is that the kind of life that you want? Or do you want something better? What if I do this and I succeed? I get to quit my job. I get to spend more time with my family. I get to travel the world. I get to spend the winter in the tropics versus in the cold, freezing snow or wind. Think about it. A lot of people are always focusing on the negative and never the positive. What if it does work? What if it works for you? How would your life be like? What's your lifestyle going to be? How would you spend the rest of 2015 if this works, right? Think of it that way. Think of the positive. And, now that there's different, ways of looking at rejection and failure, that's actually probably one of the best ways to look at it, a non-stressful way, it's all about, you just can't connect with you're not connecting with the people that you're talking to, and you're not getting the desired outcome, and you just got to start asking yourself these questions. Well, how can I connect with those people that I want to connect with, and how can I get the desired outcome, right? When you start asking yourself these questions, your brain is going to find the answers for you, right? It's going to start working in your head to find the answers that you desire, right? So this is why asking the right questions is always so important, right? So, maybe you're like, when I join this, how am I going to succeed in this? What am I going to do to succeed, right? How can I get to $5,000 a month? How can I get a team of 10, 20 people? How can I get to an event? How can I surround myself with the right people? So you start asking the right questions, and the answers will appear. It may take some time. I don't know how long it will take, but the answers will come. Because they always say success leaves clues. I mean, look, this is one clue, right? You're watching this video for a reason. You're not here just to think it's just time to kill. You're here because you want something different, because you are ready for change, because you're sick and tired of the bullshit that happens in your life, right? So if I were you, just click the button below and just get started. Simple. It's a lot simpler than you think it is. I've learned a new lesson today too, or this whole week. It's a lot simpler than you think. I never said it was easy, just a lot simpler, right? People overcomplicate things, and really, it's not that complicated. So get started today. Simple as that.
Yep, awesome. I'm pumped up. I'm fired up today. This is great stuff. For anybody out there that already is involved in our community and you've just got started, there is a button below that says Access the All-In Discount. Now, you are going to get an unbelievable discount here when you decide to take your business seriously and go all in. So I urge anybody who's watching this right now that is a part of our community already to hit that button and see if you're eligible for that discount, because it is amazing what you can actually grab there. And for everybody else, as we've said, hit that button below that says let's do this and take action today. I'm going to leave that there today. Our founder, David Wood, always says, I'll see you on the beaches of the world. And what does that mean? That means that, you have the opportunity to free yourself and your family and live anywhere in the world that you choose, be it the beach, anywhere that you possibly choose. And I'll also leave with you with what he says. And he says, look, if you're not on the beaches of the world with me in 5 years, it's not because I gave up on you. It's because you gave up on me. And that's the truth of it. We are here and we will be on the beaches of the world. And if you're not there with us, it's because you gave up on yourself. We didn't give up. We didn't give up on you. So that being said, we'll see you at the same time, same place next week. We want to thank you all for joining us once again for an awesome Rogue Hangout. And have an awesome day, night, morning, wherever you are in the world. And we will see you all next week.
Bye.